North American trucking industry is a vital component of the economy, responsible for moving approximately 75% of all freight in the U.S. In spite of its significance, the industry faces several issues surrounding trade finance, and trucking companies often experience significant delays in receiving payments, which can strain their cash flow and also operational capabilities. Now, many carriers operate on tight margins, making delayed payments particularly problematic for their financial stability, and new tariffs could add costs and complexity to trade routes, potentially driving up freight rates while forcing adjustments to alternative routes. To address these issues, this classic American pastime is being brought into the future at a time when blockchain and crypto are being explored as potential solutions to the industry's cash flow crisis. Blockchain could enable instant payments upon delivery completion, as well as reducing payment delays and improving financial stability for carriers. Joining me here at the New York Stock Exchange to weigh in is Todd Ziegler, CEO of TCS Blockchain, and Mike Moro, Chief Strategy Officer at INX. So, gentlemen, thank you so much for joining me.
Good morning.
So
yeah,
I understand, first and foremost, when it comes to freight tech, we've been seeing a lot of advancements, particularly when we think about the pandemic, the post-pandemic environment. So tell us first and foremost about this industry and about the token launch.
Yeah, well, it's an enormous industry, $2 trillion in the United States. The full truckload sector is about half of the industry. And to the point you made earlier, about 70 to 75% of all goods move on a truck. The single largest problem in the U.S. supply chain that most people don't talk about is cost of capital. It's a payments problem. Most shippers pay between 30 and 180 days. And there really hasn't been a good solution developed until blockchain and until TCS Blockchain came along.
And of course, when it comes to the technology involved here, give us an understanding of how this expedites the process.
Yeah, so the normal model is, because transportation companies can't wait 30 to 180 days, they have to sell their accounts receivable to intermediaries. These are typically banks. They're referred to as factoring companies in the transportation industry. So utilizing blockchain rails instead of banking rails, instead of waiting 10 days to get paid and typically losing 30% or more of your net revenue just to get paid in 10 days, to not wait 30 to 180 days. TCS Blockchain is getting transportation companies to liquidity, to cash now, in 1 to 2 business days, about 90% cheaper than factoring. At scale, we'll be able to lower those costs of capital even more, and that's all facilitated by blockchain rails and a blockchain tech stack.
And given that we've been learning so much about the space post-pandemic and during the pandemic, we're here in 2025 about to enter the second quarter, and there are a lot of expectations when it comes to the space in terms of regulatory clarity. So what are the implications of that in your space?
In the blockchain industry in particular? Well, I think we've seen a complete sea change, right? We've seen about like a 180-degree turn over the course of the last 60 days. TCS Blockchain was actually invited to the White House a couple weeks ago. We got to speak to President Trump's policy team. I certainly cannot speak for them, but I know that there's a real emphasis on supporting blockchain innovation in the United States. Real blockchain innovation, like people that are solving payments problems in legacy industries like transportation. And it's a very exciting sea change to see.
And in this transportation as well as logistics space, there are a lot of headwinds as well as tailwinds. So moving forward, what's on your radar?
Well, the biggest thing that's on our radar right now is the fact that the TCS token, which is what facilitates that faster and cheaper value proposition for transportation companies, is being listed on the INX exchange next week. Michael can speak to that better than I can, but that's obviously a huge milestone for us.
And Mike, for viewers out there who might not be familiar, give us a better understanding about the implications of this launch.
So ultimately, INX has about 150,000 registered users, both in the U.S. and abroad. And we have a crypto exchange business in addition to a markets business for securities and tokenized securities products. And on the crypto side of the house, we're incredibly excited to support Todd and his TCS product. I think one of the criticisms of crypto has been, what's the use case? Right. What's the purpose of the coin? Is there a real business and use case kind of behind it? A project certainly like Todd's at TCS exemplifies exactly the problem that we're solving. There is a problem out there of drivers that take way too long to get paid and or have to take a massive haircut on their revenue to do so. And this token is an intermediate vehicle that allows for people to get paid at a much faster rate and at a better rate, right? So it's solving a real problem and a need, and we're incredibly excited to kind of support and provide a liquidity platform to enable the trading of the TCS token starting next week.
And if you think about it, Remy, if you go back to the Satoshi thesis, right, the purpose of blockchain was not necessarily to create a store of value, it was to disintermediate third parties, create faster and cheaper settlement, both peer-to-peer and business-to-business. And I think that's probably the next chapter in crypto and blockchain.
And gentlemen, we have less than 60 seconds here, but tell me a little bit about the Mid-America Trucking Show.
Yeah, I appreciate you bringing that up. So TCS is doing our launch at scale at the Mid-America Truck Show next week. It's actually the largest truck show in the world. There have been years where they've had nearly 100,000 attendees. And we view this as kind of a historic moment because you have $2 trillion American industries that are converging around a blockchain solution, so it's very exciting. Mike and I will both be there, and we'll be joined by a number of other folks from the blockchain industry. So.
Okay, gentlemen, well, we will have to leave it there, but thank you so much for joining me, and thank you for sharing all of your insights.
Thanks, Remy.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.